Hello and welcome to another episode of the Results Roundtable podcast. I'm joined today here with Ryan Quinn from LS Gyms. Ryan is a meal mindset advocate. You are a personal trainer, you're a coach, you're a mentor, gym owner, gym franchiser, LS Meals as well. I've known Ryan now for probably about 7 years on and off. Of cross paths over the journey from my own background in the fitness industry, and then obviously cross paths with you back in the day with Cookstown LS Gyms. So you've got a long history of success in business, success in the fitness scene, long journey in mindset and development on your own path and journey. Can you give us a bit of a background about yourself, what the early days were like for Ryan Quinn?
Well, thank you, lads, for having me on. And it was a privilege when you contacted me to come on. So I didn't hesitate. You know, I'd be asked on the podcast, and sometimes I hesitate.
Honoured,
but just I've watched you coming up to the ranks, and I've just seen your current business now, and just you're like myself. You just don't lay down. You don't stop. Yeah. But my upbringing was I had a really good upbringing. All right, so and we delve into this podcast. You'll see I got myself in a lot of trouble. Yeah. Right up in the recent years, the last 3 or 4 years. But my upbringing was very good, because you get people there to come on and say, "Oh, I had a bad upbringing. That's why I turned out the way I turned out."
Yeah.
Mine wasn't. That wasn't the case with me. My father is a entrepreneur, multiple businesses, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, didn't go to bars, didn't go to nightclubs, didn't party, didn't do all the things I end up doing.
The man just worked.
And my mum was the exact same. She worked hard too in any business my father ever created, and still creates to this day. So my upbringing was good. Went to school in Mullinhoe Primary in Arbo. I was, and I say this to all my clients on board, I was the last kid into the classroom and the first one out of it. You know, that was the way I worked. Yeah. But I didn't want to be educated. And it's something that I really regret now going forward. You hear people will come on social media saying, "Oh, I have no degrees," or "I have no..." Yeah. I regret that I didn't settle myself and study, because I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now if I'm stupid. You know, so I wouldn't have the success I have. That's, you know, I'm able to pat myself in the back now and realise that. So like, I didn't want to educate it. Growing up as a kid, primary school wise, people talk about a lot of trauma in their lives, right?
Yeah.
I didn't take this as trauma, but when I look back now, possibly it was. I grew up in the Troubles.
Yeah.
I had members of the family that were involved in what did you say? Paramilitary groups.
Yeah.
All right. People want to delve into it, they can delve into it and find out who it is. I'm not ashamed of it. And I seen a lot of deaths, shootings. I spent a lot of time in the south to see my grandparents.
When you said seen them, do you mean like you seen that happen firsthand?
No, I would have seen the funerals and the stuff online, or not online that time, it was the news that time. There was no online. Yeah. So I witnessed that as a kid, and I can remember that. My earliest experience of that was, it was my cousin, but I looked at him like an uncle. He was always in my house, and he owned a bar in Moortown, and he was in my house that morning, and I remember him on his knees, pair of them big glasses on him, wax coat. Yeah. I don't know if you ever mind the smell of those old wax coats way back in the day.
Rotten. The coats were never washed. The same as biker jackets, they never get washed.
So like, I remember that smell and all, right? Yeah. And I remember his face. And I was punching his hands, because he was a massive boxing fan, and I boxed till I was about 14 or 15 until I went into GA. But I was boxing his hands that morning, and he said to me, "I've got you a boxing bag, and I've got you boxing gloves, and they're for your birthday." So that was on maybe the 28th or 20, I think it's 28th, 29th of November. My birthday was on the 7th December. And he left that day. I woke up the next morning, and Mummy, before I went to school, and Mummy says to me, or Daddy, I can't mind who it was, says Liam was shot dead last night. Right? Maybe he didn't tell me he was shot dead. They said he died last night. So I remember going outside, and it was a frosty morning, and I pissed his name in the snow.
I don't know how to react to that. That's a weird thing to do.
That's what I did. I went out and I pissed his name in the snow.
That was your reaction?
That's it was great. And like, them's my childhood memories of that.
Yeah.
And then I mind going to the funeral. The funeral was on YouTube and stuff like that. You can see it. And the only thing that I wanted was the punch bag and the gloves. And my birthday came, I never got them. And for maybe a couple of years after that, I was still waiting on these boxing bags and gloves to come, because his wife was there and he had a wee son and all. But that was my first, I suppose, I know what you call that. Is that trauma? Is that it's a weird it's a weird way to think for so long.
Would that have been your first experience as like a family death as a child?
It would have been, yeah.
So you just didn't know how to handle it.
So that was first kind of traumatic thing that happened in my life, and I still remember that. And like, I've got, his nickname was Wings, and I have wings on my fingers. And his dog that time was called Keeper. Right. Now I have a dog now called Keeper. People think I called my dog Keeper because it was Keeper LS. Aye. It's not. It's because of his dog. And the Keeper LS never come from that either. You know, that just, somebody said to me one day, Keeper Lit, and I says, no, I'll Keeper LS. And then it just stuck. I was actually
always wondering where that came from, because I remember back in the day following social media and stuff, and Keeper LS was, every time you were on social media, it was Keeper LS, Keeper LS.
So LS stands for Loch Shore, because obviously we're not far from the Loch Shore here now, yeah. So it's a Loch Shore of Loch Ness, that's where I lived, so I called it LS, Keeper LS. Now I use it as well for my mindset coaching as keep living, keep strong. You know, so yeah. But that was the first, and then as time grew on, a couple of years later, then I had another uncle shot dead in Coke, and again that was a massive thing on the news. It was, yeah. I remember all the crowds and the helicopters and the police and the Land Rovers and all those things. So that was another, you know, incident, but I did not know what was going on. I just thought this was normal.
Did your parents or older relatives, family, did they protect you from it then? Obviously,
they would have.
You're
yeah.
a kid. You don't.
That's we were brought up. We're Catholics, like, but we were never brought up sectarian or anything like that. Never by my parents. You know, that's one thing that happened with us. We were brought up to respect all religions and people around us. It's and when I look back, it's a credit to my mother and father that they did that, you know, because they suffered loss, you know, yeah. But they still kept us. Like, I have three brothers and a sister, an older brother, a brother just slightly younger than me, and then one about 10 years younger than me, and then my sister's maybe 6 or 7 years younger than me. So we were never brought up, you know, to be sectarian or to hate, you know, which I'm very, very happy that that's the way I was brought up, you know.
No, that's the big thing. Is like, I'd say back in the day, it wouldn't have been easy to do that. You know, seeing what our parents seen.
Yeah.
Like, me and my sister was never brought up to be sectarian, but my dad can tell me stories about what went on back in the day, and you're going, like, shit, you had to deal with that. And my dad was talking about having to come out of work and check, and you'd had to check under your car for a bomb, because he worked in like a factory, would have been mostly Protestant, but they had Catholics working in it. And that's what he said. He goes, you were coming out checking, and then you were getting stopped in checkpoints on the way home, and like, oh, where are you going? And you had to lie because you couldn't say where you were going.
Yeah.
And even to think about it now, it's a crazy time to imagine that was actually daily life. Yeah. More to be honest.
So them experiences happened, and that was between the ages of, say, 9 years of age till I was about 12, 13.
Yeah.
And that started then to gradually creep away, because obviously the Good Friday Agreement came in '98.
Yeah.
And it was the time of the Oma bombing. I just seen it recently there, and I've never told this one here. I don't know why I forgot of this here, but this was another traumatic period of my life. I went to Ibiza when I was 16, I didn't drink, didn't take drugs, didn't just mad about Gaelic football.
Yeah.
So I had a boxing career, an early boxing career. I done pretty well at it as a kid, but the football took over. So I love Gaelic, and I still do to this day. And I went to Ibiza. I was kind of shocked that my parents says, you can go along with the older brother.
Yeah.
So I remember I was in the apartment, and for some reason I was standing on the balcony, and I seen the brother jumping on a motorbike, and I just shouted at him, "Don't be going out in that motorbike." Now, I didn't know if he had drink on him or anything got there. I just didn't know. Something told me to tell him to stop, and I kept roaring at him to stop. Don't go. So way off he went on the moped. I runs down the stairs, jumped on the motorbike. I had rented for the few days, and I followed him. And the first corner I come to I just seen complete mess, carnage. There was bits of motorbike everywhere. There was car wrecked. Everything, the whole road was blocked up, and I found him along the side of the road. He was hit and run in a car. So I genuinely thought he wasn't gonna make it. Like, you know, he had a broken wrist, his knee was wrecked, his whole face was cut. He was wearing a bicycle helmet, that's what he put on, and it was cracked open, and his head was busted open, but only for that helmet. And I took the helmet home with me. He would have been killed. Like. Now he's now successful entrepreneur himself, and he lost his taste and his smell, or maybe he got one of them back, and has a head injury. Like, but he's made a good man of himself. You know, what from that.
Do you know what told you that day to tell him not to? Because like if the two of you had bikes, obviously going out in these bikes wasn't an issue. Yeah. So do you remember what told you to tell him to stop?
I'm going to touch on this in the podcast, but I will say it now. And don't get me wrong, I don't beat the Bible.
Right.
I don't be in mass every day, but I do take, when something tells me, do it. And we're going to talk about this in this podcast today, because I'm going to do something. To me, that's the authentic voice of God telling me to do something. So if I'm told to stop drinking, and I keep drinking, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
If it says to me, stop drinking, I stop drinking, something brilliant's going to happen. So to me, that voice inside your head is the authentic voice of God. And it's up to you. You download it, and you do. Or you get that other voice, drink. You know, take drugs. Be a horrible person.
Yeah.
That's it. If you people believe the devil, believe God, whatever it is. I'm not saying God's this guy with a beard and long hair and comes in a white robe and just, you know, to me it's a universal thing. And like, as I said to you before we started this podcast, if you had told me this 3.5 years ago, I thought you were crazy. I just thought it was all hocus pocus stuff, you know. But you asked me what it was a download from God to try and stop him, you know, going out on that bike. And obviously his download was to get on the bike. Yeah. And, you know, nearly lost his life.
What brother is that?
Michael.
The
oldest one. I
think the only one I really know is Kevin, just because obviously he's a drifter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just I follow him on social media, that's how I know him. Well, throughout this journey, and you're talking about, main thing I get here is family is very important to you.
Yeah.
So like every point of that story has been a family story. Are you still very close with family today?
Oh, yeah. Massively close, but a lot closer now from I got sober.
A lot closer when you get sober?
Yeah, from I got sober, a lot closer. Because it was just all about me. So if I had been on this podcast 3.5 years ago, it just would have been me. You know, nobody else mattered. It just was Ryan's show, you know.
Ryan's show.
You know, and it's like I was up until recently, you know, but it's not like that anymore. You know.
Do you look back on those days and regret the Ryan show, or did
the Ryan show? If the Ryan show didn't happen, I wouldn't be here today talking to you.
No.
You know, that was part of my journey. So a lot of people will look back on themselves like and you know, I had to be weak, I had to be horrible, I had to be all those things to be who I am today. You know, that's to me, I had to go through that.
So you're a believer then everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And like every moment or interaction or experience creates who you are.
Especially we talked about there now. It's what download you take.
What download you take.
You know,
This podcast is proudly sponsored by Branded Merch. Do your t-shirts look like they came free with the meal deal? Are you sick of merch and uniforms that look cheap, logos that peel, and tees that shrink after one wash? So are we. At Branded, we make merch that your team will actually want to wear. Whether it's uniforms, event gear, your own brand drops, or community merch, we've got you covered. We use premium blanks, proper printed embroidery, and we're upfront and honest about what works, what doesn't, and most importantly, what looks and feels great. No minimums, quick turnaround, and yeah, we actually care about the end product. If you're listening to this and thinking my team could do with some better threads, visit brandedlimited.co and let's make it happen. That's brandedltd.co. And as a listener to this podcast, first time customers can get 10% off with code roundtable10 at checkout. Who did you look up to when you were younger and why?
There's quite a few. Growing up would have been, obviously, the person that tattooed my hands was a massive, just, even though they're in my life for a short period of time, I just knew when they came into the house that I was their go-to, to give love to and give support to and give, you're going to be good. I had another uncle there, Conrad, he's still living. Conrad's about 10 years older than me. Always looked up to him. And I always tell the story, people say, well, how did you get into weights? I remember, we moved about a lot. We moved about a lot. So we lived I was born in Arbo and take to Arbo to lived in a housing estate, right? So people think, he's never lived it rough, So I lived in a housing estate. Then moved out of there and moved to the Battery, a house that we built there. Lived there for so long and then moved in with my granny. And because we were trying to get another house, so we lived with granny for a while. So my uncle was living there at the time. So maybe say I was maybe 8 or so, 7 or 8. Obviously he was 16, 17. But he had these weights in his room. Yeah. Them York ones you put on, you screw them on.
The grey ones?
So he had them in the room, but he always had these veins pumping out of his arms. Yeah. And I always says, I want veins pumping out of my arms. So that's I do a lot now in my group. I says, look, you have to have the bicep vein. If it's not veiny, it's fat, So
well, that true.
I looked up to him. So that was my introduction to weights, and I knew one day I would do it.
Yeah,
I know, and it was 16. My father who's my hero right now is my father. He's.
Well, that was my next question. Then, who do you look up to now? Has it changed? So
my father always was, but now it's my father.
So your father?
He's my old boy's a savage. My old boy's had problems with weight, and now he's got the weight off. He actually got a knee replacement there, half a knee replacement there a few weeks ago, and he's just soldiered through it, and he owns multiple businesses, name drop at the minute. You've got Quinn's Coach Hire, you've got the Belfast Dublin Express, you've got he's got Lockshore Autos, PVS, he's got the Crumlin Road Jail, Belfast, Picky Park, Belfast Castle.
Quite a list there.
Right down to the aquarium he's involved in, and the hotel there in Portaferry, and then there's another wee, him and the brothers involved in that, and then there's another wee Kirkcudbright, there's the Mermaid Bar and Airbnb. So
do you remember your dad's sleeping or taking any time off?
He just still doesn't. No, he took time off now because he's sitting with a leg up. But savage, unbelievable. And he struggled with his weight and he struggled with training and stuff like that. But he got there in the end, and his eating's better. He makes sure that he's walking, and
What qualities about your dad is it that you look up to and respect?
In recent times, I've looked back on some of the real tough times that my father's been through, and it's mostly with us boys.
Yeah,
he was young. You take at that time, I'm talking about those troubles. Daddy was only in his 20s, because he had us pretty young. And then you take some of the things we'll talk about here going forward. He was only in his 30s and 40s.
Yeah,
he's now 65, and he still seems young to me. But at my age, what he was going through due to other people, not himself.
Yeah. And
still run businesses, and sold one. He sold his coach business in 98 when he started up again, and he sold it, I think it was 1 point something million. Back then,
that's a lot of money back then. It's a lot of money now.
So that, we can get to that point of when things started to really change. You're asking me, Merle, like when I was 16, when this was after that accident, Daddy took us all into the house and he says, I've something to tell you. And first thing came in my head, he had cancer. I thought he was going to die. And he says, I've made an offer for my business. And he says, if I work 24 hours for the next 10 years, I'll never make the money I've been offered. And he says, look, it's retirement money. Yeah. So I think he retired for 3 months. I think I could be wrong there. It was only 10 weeks or whatever. But he retired. He got a massive. He sold his business, his coach and taxi business, and he retired. But he only retired for a very short period of time. Is this the type of person he is? So that really was it. And I started playing football, Gaelic. Won a All-Ireland with the school team, Holy Trinity College. Won 2 Ulsters as well. Won a lot of Tyrone championships. So I was very, very, very dedicated to my Gaelic.
Yeah.
And if you're asking who would have looked up to back then, it would still have been my uncle Conrad. He was playing for Moortown, and they were winning in the early mid-90s. They were winning a lot of championships and leagues and stuff like that.
You spoke about looking up to your uncle and looking up to your father. Like, you don't have any kids, no?
No.
You've obviously like nieces and nephews and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Say the qualities you loved about Wings and your dad and Conrad. Do you use those as models to how you interact with your nieces and nephews?
I would have a brilliant relationship with all my nieces and nephews, all of them. And anytime they see me, you just know there's an energy about me that they pick up on.
Yeah.
So I would say that they're proud of me. I've one wee nephew, Logan, and he has autism.
Right.
And like he's just, it's amazing. I went in last night to see him, and he's under his blankets. He's 11, like, but he's been singing he's pretty viral now at the minute. He's doing like what he's achieved. It was my sister was the one that really put all the time into it. I guess this kid was singing at 2 years of age. He was spelling at 3, and she has all the videos there. So I have an wee nephew, Jace, and I just can see me in him. Yeah. But it's going to be good for me that I'm not saying I'll never have kids on my own. I want to have kids, right? People ask me, why do you never have kids? I'm going to say it, I'm glad I didn't. I don't know if it would have settled me back then. Don't know. Don't think it would have.
No.
And my kids would have seen what I went through.
Yeah.
I put myself through. So I'm kind of happy they'd never seen that. So like, I'm not saying no. Like, I'd love to have, a kid or two of my own, and hand over what I will create over the next 10, 15 years and hand it over to them. But yes, I back to your question. Yes, I know my nephews and nieces do, look up to me, because whenever I land, they just
the energy's there.
The energy's there, when they know I'm generous, and but I would have a firm hand on them too. Like, I would treat them like my own kids.
Yeah.
And say, look, you don't do that, or you don't speak to your mother like that, you don't speak to your father like that, you don't, and they listen, like, Oh,
that's good. Who is Rand Quinn? We've talked about your childhood, your upbringing, so like, who are you today?
Today, what would I explain myself as? I'd explain myself as a prophet.
Wasn't expecting that. I'm intrigued now. Go on ahead.
So people will ask, what's a prophet? And people think a prophet's somebody that, goes out and preaches on the street about God, and goes to mass every day, and serves communion, and reads the first reading or second reading or whatever religion you're in. To me, a prophet's a person that goes out and shows God's way every day, right? So that's true. I wake up early in the mornings. Now, I'm not saying I'm up at 4:30 or 5:30. I don't believe in that, but if people's into that, I just would be too tired by the time I get to 2 o'clock in the day. I'm up early and I check in above, right? So everybody has their own spiritual connection. To me, it's God. That's who I believe in. Anybody else's, I still respect their beliefs. And I'll count my macros. I'll count the amount of food I eat a day.
Yeah.
Right? I'll train. I'll read, or I'll search on social media, or I'll read a book of positive quotes or philosophers or someone like that. And I've no vices. I don't drink. I don't take drugs. I don't watch porn. I don't smoke. I don't have jealousy. I don't have anger. So I go out and I've become the best version of myself via all these habits. I have more habits, and I offer to the world. And in that there, I see people starting to do what I do. You know, and that's what I believe I am now. Like, I'm not saying it was God just planted me here to do all the wrong things I did, and then start doing the right things. But to me, I would pretty be confident that I'm a prophet.
I definitely wasn't expecting that answer, but yeah. So you've took what's working for you, what's making you happy, what's keeping you in the right path, and you're obviously preaching that then to your coaching clients.
I wouldn't say preaching it. I'm living it.
You're living it. And then
a lot of people preach. They tell you they can do this, do that, but they don't actually do it themselves. I live it. And that's why I put it on social media. People think I love social media now. I used to hate it. I love it. And what I do on social media every day is that's me. That's the authentic me. And I put it on there for people to say, I could put up my coffee every morning. There's somebody could be getting up to get a half and a vodka. Yeah. Saying, fuck well.
We are coffee.
You know, Quinn's in the coffee. I'm going to go for the coffee today. You know, I put up, a quote out of a book that resonates with someone. And they just say, oh, gee, I need to see that today. Then I'll put maybe up what I'm eating. Somebody's about to go and eat a pile of rubbish. Go, oh, I'm going to go for that today. Quinn's doing that today.
Do you get backlash? Because I know from personal experience, right? My girlfriend, she hates me being over positive. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, again, just let me be miserable. So if she wants to like rant about something and I try and turn it around in like a positive way, like a silver lining, she's like, oh, get away. She's like, just let me live. I don't get it because I don't let it in. But I do understand that not everybody's. I always say this here. I don't know if you're allowed a course on here or not. Work I always say, not every motherfucker wants saved. Yeah. You know, and that's can be family, it can be friends, it can be anybody, but not everyone wants saved. So I don't get it. No, I honestly I don't get any hate online. Very, very, very seldom. Very seldom I get hate online. Like I was in a business partnership there. I sold a property to an American multi-millionaire, and we did a business together with the gym and the food. But he lives his life completely different to the way I live mine. Yeah. So we opened up a business, LS Ace Meals, and LS Ace Gyms. But I still have my own businesses, right? But we went for 8 or 9 months, didn't work out. So the businesses were never used. So I just let them lie dormant, and then they just closed.
They just dissolved themselves.
Yeah.
But like I had people on my TikTok writing below it, oh, you haven't put in your HMRC and all. This is where people go to because I love those people.
Yeah.
Those people hate themselves, right? So they take it out on you. Like you'll never see a successful person coming on this podcast or onto your page or my page and talk shit about us.
No, I find. Because what I find anyway, anybody that's successful has had to work their ass off to get there, and they've been through the struggles, and they've been through the dark days, and they've been lying in the dirt, and they respect anybody even trying, even if you're not successful. It's like if you're giving it a go, I'm behind you.
Yeah,
you know, because I've been there and I've failed at 3 or 4 businesses, and what you find is people that usually do hate haven't tried it, and if they did try it, they realise how hard it is just to go through. And don't get me wrong, some people get it really lucky and the first business takes off and it's a success within a few months and they've never experienced the downturn. So you will have them people, but generally most business owners have been through shit. So they respect anybody even trying to better themselves or to try something.
I think there's a flip side to being successful, because I've been successful and I've seen other people be successful, and then vices take over. So you make a lakh of pound, you start buying the cars, you start going to hotels, sex becomes a big thing, drink, drugs, and that can bring, like, I work with a lot of people that have made a lot of money, but they're not happy.
No.
And I see them hitting on other people because they're hitting on themselves, even though they have money. So it's basically down to your habits. People say, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future. No. Show me your 5 habits and I'll show you your future, because your friends are one of your habits.
Yeah.
The places you're in is one of your habits. The things you're doing, your spiritual connection, they're all habits. And that's one of the massive things that we will talk about when we come to my prison story.
Yeah.
Of how I fucked up big time when I came out of prison, that I left my habits behind me in there. But, the only other thing I would touch on here before we go into that part, because it's kind of leading up to it, is I had one of the most traumatic events of my life on my back. I was against the wall. I don't know if you watched my social media the other day that I put up the x-rays on my foot.
No. I remember you having
I had the crush injury.
Yeah.
So I was playing. I look back now and I look back in videos and stuff of me playing Gaelic. I was a good player.
Yeah.
I was always worth 1, 2, 1, 3 a game, right?
Yeah.
I was a wee bit green on it. I wouldn't say I was afraid, but I just was a wee bit green. I'm not like that now. Like, I'd put my head in where you wouldn't put an iron bar.
Yeah.
So I think that's what maybe held me back a wee bit green on it. But I was always, everything was prepped. The food, the water intake, the sup. Like, maybe I was doing it wrong. Don't get me wrong at that time. I was doing it wrong, but I still was doing it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, the relationship I was in, I wouldn't have been with her 4 or 5 days before a game and stuff like that. That's how driven I was. But alcohol was introduced to my life, and this is the first traumatic thing with alcohol. Now, people say to me, well, your father didn't drink, and where did you get this out of? Why did you start drinking? It was the people I was hanging around with, and they're lovely people to this day.
Yeah.
But people in their family drank, So I was like I was out in the sticks, like you boys are here now.
I had the corner.
So like I had to go when I went to school in Cookstown, then I was hanging around with different type of people, right? So the people I started hanging around with, they like to drink. So, and obviously I think 2 or 3 of them are now recovered alcoholics. And they were drinking and I wasn't drinking. So they said to me, "Oh, you need to take a drink." And I said, "No, I can't." I tried to. I mind when I was younger and was down around the uncle's bar or the cousin's bar. I mind busting a keg of harp or something, and it just get up out of my mouth. And the taste of it, I just couldn't. How am I going to drink that? So they give me beer, I couldn't drink it. They give me this. So the next thing, give me peach schnapps and orange.
Right.
So I drank it.
Yeah.
Oh, I drink it again,
Lovely.
till I was drunk. I mind going back to the girl I was seeing that time's house, and out of the house, took all my clothes off, run outside, everything out, no underpants, nothing on, and I thought that this was great, it was funny. But when I look back, that wasn't normal behaviour when you're drinking.
No.
It's not normal behaviour. And this is what people think that you get. I just get drunk to get drunk and escape who I was. That's what it ended up, as I look back. But that was my introduction to drink. And that was people and places and things.
Yeah.
That's what led me. And I don't blame them. I'm big enough boy to make my own decisions, And I look back on that now, I don't blame anybody. I blame myself for everything I ever did. I blame myself. So I was introduced to drink about 18. At 19, still was. I would rather have my football and whatever I was doing than drinking. But obviously, when you're playing football and after it, you go out for.
They go hand in hand, like, don't they?
You go out for a few beers. So we played Killyclogher in the senior championship in 2002, and I was just turned 20, and we got beat. And that night, I went out and I drank. And in the following night, the boys were going out again. Now, I wouldn't have been wanting to get up in the morning and go drinking and go again. That never. That was only towards the end of my drinking. And I went out again.
Yeah.
So I decided we don't know where we were at, but we're going down to the club lawn. right?
Oh, Cookstown?
Yes.
I remember that.
So I was walking down the street and there was a bus coming around the corner and us boys were messing about and my right foot ended up going underneath the bus wheel. Now it was one of those big 50-odd seater buses and I crushed my foot into bits. And I don't know if you put...
Was it your dad's bus?
No. It wasn't, no. I don't know if you put wee clips up here, but I can send it to you if you know, if Ryan wants to edit them in. And you can see the severity of my foot, complete crush. So I was just down the other day there, 2 screws to get my big toe screwed into the side of my foot. But when they screwed it up, it's lifted. No, when they screwed it up, it's went down like that.
Right.
So this part of my foot is sticking into the ground, and the 2 screws are in there. So he's going to take them screws out, and he says that'll release my foot like that. Now I have 4 other screws in here, and he just said to me, and he's never seen my foot before. He's Alistair Adair or something. He says this is just a mess, and he says I'm dumbfounded how you're still playing football. I can't fathom how you're doing it. But he says you're doing it. But I said, look, I'm coming to the end of it now, so I'd rather have a nice flat foot to go to the beach or the swimming pool and walk on hard surfaces, because I do find it hard to walk on hard surfaces with my bare foot. But that was a crush injury. I was rushed to hospital. In the hospital, they said they couldn't do anything with it in Markerfelt. They put a plaster on me, sent me to Belfast in an ambulance, and they took the plaster off my foot and the blood had stopped to my foot because of the plaster, because it swelled that badly.
Oh, too tight.
So they were going to amputate it. I remember hearing them saying it.
What, your foot?
Yeah, I was to get it amputated. So they brought in...
How was hearing that news?
But I was still drunk, like. I drank in me, like, you know.
All right then, take it off.
So, I was going to the theatre, then the surgeon came in, he looked at it and he says, look, give me... I mind this surgeon, he looked like Sven Eriksson, what do you call him? He was a spit of him, I can't mind his name. But he said he would rebuild it. But I took that bad of an infection because the bones and all popped out through the skin, you see, whenever it crushed, and then obviously it swelled up. I took a really bad infection, so it took 9 months for it to heal. So that was my football career completely over. I was told you'll be lucky if you ever walk again.
And what age was this?
I was 20.
20.
So it was there February or March 2022. I just turned 20 in that December, just before it. So that was the beginning of that. And then the story goes deep here now, where I don't know when you want to ask this question, but it's this is where things really went.
Well, I know what I've heard, that so all I can really call it is an incident, because I just know what the story I've heard. So yes, I know there's an incident that happened to you and it changed your life. You ended up in prison. So rather than me trying to guess sort of what happened, you just want to come out and tell your story.
Well, this will be an exclusive.
Right.
I've never did this before, and I just said to your man here, Ryan, is working with you here. I've silenced myself on it, and I suppose it's through guilt and shame, and some people try to say I don't show remorse, and I can see where they've seen that through the years. I can truly say I am remorseful, but I maybe didn't show it, and I'll go through why. But look, I've watched a lot of podcasts over the years, and I done my first podcast over nearly 3 years ago, and it was on the Bear podcast. And it was a friend of mine podcasting me, but I says I don't want to talk about this. You can ask me about prison, but I used to say he or him or the fella I killed. You know, I can now say his name, Finbar. You know, I can say that now, and I can say that there as a respect to him, because you know he's a human being. I still believe I have a spiritual connection with him.
Right.
I still believe that he's the one pulled me through a lot of stuff.
Were you friends before it?
We were friends of friends. We would knew each other. Like, you know, if you would ask me what's my memories of Finbar was one of the boys. Like,
yeah.
Like, he had him up for a dig. He had backed himself up. He was a hard boy on a football field. He was friends of mine.
Yeah.
So primary school friends of mine, they went to St. Pius's, where I went to Holy Trinity College.
Yeah.
And people ask me, why did you go to Holy Trinity, not go to that school? And this goes back to a trauma thing as well. I heard that I was going to get a kicking on the bus going to St. Pius's, so I went to Holy Trinity. And all my friends went to, that's
You for real?
that's right.
So you go home and tell
I went to a different school because I thought I was going to get a kicking on the bus.
So you go home and tell your mum and dad this, and you're like,
No, I was too proud. No. I went to, but I ended up more fights in Holy Trinity than I did, and so,
Right.
I can, I get you talk about these downloads and people wonder why is he doing this here? Why can he not let sleeping dogs lie? I've got a download. Tell the story. And I believe that's the authentic voice of God, because a young man lost his life and nobody knows the truth but me, the real truth. If I was to call this podcast something, it would be the real truth.
Right.
So I'm not here to tell lies. I'm not here to get views, to get likes, to get comments. I'm here 22 years later to tell what exactly happened. It's like, and I'm sitting around, I've seen podcasts. I've seen a podcast the other day of a young lad come out as gay, Gaelic footballer. Fair play to him. That lad was eat up with that. I've seen people coming out about being raped or being, all those different types of things. And they're telling their story, because there's too many people out there that are living, they're dead while living. They're what I call them, the walking dead. The living dead, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of life I've been living.
So, like, ultimately, you took a fella's life.
Yeah.
But you're saying you've silenced yourself from the truth. Why?
Yes.
So why did you silence the
So
truth?
I didn't upset other people.
All right. Okay.
Right. So they're going to say, "Oh, well," but it wouldn't. It doesn't matter. Like, people still get upset with my success. And like they'll say, "Oh, well, who paid for that? Did his daddy pay for that?" And it's just, they're always trying to find a way to knock me for what I do. Like, if I had to come out and I was a scumbag, right? I went to prison, and I know, and people in my area, I know a lot of people are back in. I know a boy I shared a cell with that's on trial at the minute for cutting a man up, putting him in a river. I shared a cell with him,
Right.
These boys have got out and went again. Where I went out and trying to make
Something of yourself.
Of myself. And I got a wee bit lost there what I'm talking about, but we get back to what happened, right?
Yeah. So the story about this then. So what did happen?
Right. So we were friends of friends.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd been in Finbar's house. I mind his brother taking me back to his house, and his sister-in-law was there, and he was in bed, and we tried to wake him up. He's a big Celtic supporter. His room was full of Celtic stuff, and I was over and digging at him and pulling the blankets up. And he was 100%. He just was one of the lads.
Yeah.
A good lad. Like myself, he stood up for himself and drop a drink in. He got in a hand, but he still would have stood up for himself. He was a good guy. And that was my first kind of introduction to kind of meeting him. Yeah. And I had with the older brother, who's same like myself, mad, full of crack, was there a dig going, he was stuck in, but he never was out to hurt anybody, And I was in Arbo, in a bar in Arbo, Forbes' bar, and Finbar was there, and I was there, and we were drinking together, and I was wearing it was a gas jacket it was out of Cuba, right. But it looked like a biker's jacket, and whatever else I was wearing. And Finbar was drunk, and I was flocking drinks, and he kept saying to me, "Did you come here in a moped?" Because I was wearing the jacket. But it's a bit of crack,
Yeah.
But he kept at it all night.
Yeah.
And then I think him and his girlfriend at the time he was seeing us split up, and I turned around and I goes to him, "Just because you're a woman gave you the road." Now I look back at something I shouldn't have said. But that had a sore note with him. So whenever we moved bars and we went to, it was called Boss Hogs, that's what you call it. It's the Old Cross bar. We were drinking in there. So we had no left home. At that time it was just, you walked it. So we were walking up the road, And I don't know, me and him was at it again. Now, at that time I was in crutches because this was after the foot crush.
Right.
And I think me and him was at it again. So then we started to fight. And he did get the better of me. You know, I could turn around and say here now, this is where I used to go on, I was in crutches. He got the better of me, right?
Yeah.
And he gave me a right flaking. And one of my friends come running up the road and hit him.
Yeah.
And knocked him out of the road. And I think he broke his wrist. And there's another friend come up as well. And he stopped it, but it was really dark.
Yeah.
And we're all pulled apart and scattered apart, and Finbar disappeared. You know, it's a car, you get into a car. I remember the car you get into. It was a wee Clio, I know who was driving it, and he just took him away. And I went home, and my mother, she'll always say, she's like, I remember your clothes that night, the blood that was on them, and they were ripped and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So obviously, I had a resentment. And I said, I'll get him back. You know, so, but I never thought what would happen.
Yeah.
So that was it. We crossed paths because I got the foot surgery and all done then. And obviously I was in no shape to start fighting with anybody or seeking revenge. And his brother and sister would have seen me in the bar. And I was having a few pints in the bar. I minded like when I think back, like the way I was on the verge of going to where I was going. I look back, even when I was 20, 21.
Yeah.
Like I was sitting at the bar with a big screw or a big pin coming out of the bottom of my foot, it all infected, and me drinking pints and the blood dripping out of the plaster. But I remember his brother come over to me and saying to me, look, Finbar wants to apologise to you. And I said, no, he's not apologising to me. I said, I left it there. And he was actually in the bar. But obviously I was in no fit shape to start fighting anybody. So I didn't take the apology. No, do I look back now, I regret it massively. You know, because it maybe wouldn't have went to where it went to. So anyway, the foot crush was February or March 2022. This was nearly a year and a half later that Finbar lost his life as a result of my actions. Tyrone was in the All-Ireland final.
Right.
They were playing Armagh, and we were all ecstatic. Everybody couldn't wait. My dad, the cars all done up on it, the players' faces
Everywhere.
all on the van, like done with proper graphics and all. Yeah. And that's what we all had tickets and everything. And I was in bed on the Friday night, so I think it was a Friday. It's the 25th. I think he died on the 26th or the 27th, but it was the Friday night, and I was in bed. My friend come around and he was looking at a tie for the banquet because we were all going to the football, but we had banquet tickets after it. And he was looking at a tie. So I get up and I got him a tie and he says, you going for a lot of beers here? And I says, fuck it, I'll go. No, there was no inkling that I was going to Cookstown that night. Yeah. So we went over to Forbes's bar, a few pints. We ended up going to Kiltork Cultural Centre and we had a few beers in there. And my brother Michael, he's mad for driving. He always drove. And Michael was driving. He had a girl with him. One of my mates were there. I'm not going to mention who it is, but I don't want to put him on this. And we said we'd go to Cookstown. Goes to Cookstown, gets out at the Mulder Street. I gets out because I was going to meet someone.
Yeah.
I was going to meet a girl. And the brother said he was going up to the shop to get the mate cigarettes. And I said, no problem. So I jumped out the traffic lights right up at the top of Mulder Street. On the right hand side, that's where I get drove over at. I get out on this side here.
Yeah.
Right on Mulder Street, opposite each other. So I get out and there's a mate of mine from school standing there. And he was from the same parish as Finbar. And I was talking to him. Finbar came over the top of my shoulder. I didn't see him. And he says to the boy, what are you talking to that asshole for? You know, and the fellow was there and knows this happened. I'm never going to ask him to come out and say, what I did was wrong. My reaction to it was wrong. So whenever he said that, I was going to go for him. But his friends were there. And I rang the mate and I says, look, Finbar's only have to call me an asshole there. And he says, don't be doing anything there. He says, I come back down. So he came back down and we started walking down the street to look for him. Well, I was looking for him. He wasn't looking for him. I was looking for him. But he knew. Obviously, he knew it was going to happen. And Finbar would have been friendly with my mate. And I seen him coming up the street. Like, people says that I come up behind him and I hit him from behind, and somebody said I hit him with a car. Like, the truth has to be told. He walked straight up, and I walked straight up to him, and I hit him a punch. Yeah. Right? And he fell straight back. And he didn't hit his head off the ground or anything like that, because his head was still up. And he was looking up at me. Like, and I can still, like, I'm starting to shake here now. But I'm going to be brave. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to be brave here, because I need to get this out, and some people need answers. Like, somebody lost their son. Somebody lost their friend. Somebody lost their brother. Somebody lost their nephew. You can keep going, their cousin. Some people need to know the truth. You know, and I'm not on here to tell lies. But I remember his breathing. Yeah. Right? And he basically, they said that when they done the autopsy, he died instantly. And I know he was taking his last breath. Like. It's very, and this haunts me to this day. That I heard it, like I know, and the first thing I done was walk away, and I ran up the street, right? And
was that just panic set then?
I don't know why I did. I just run away, and the brother then rang me to see, or I rang him. I can't remember. He says, where are you at? And he come and lifted me, and the police and all were there very, very quickly. And I says, right, take me away. So I went up to the Royal Hotel. And I was driving up past it the other day, and I can still see my path of where I went. There's like a wee, beside the Royal Hotel, there's steps up, and I know where it takes you to. There's a play park or something there. And I went up there and hid. And then the brother rang me, and he says, where are you at? And I says, I'm here. He come back and lifted me again. And I says, drive down past Mulder Street. So we drove down the main street, and I looked and left, and I seen the white tent. And I knew wasn't good. So I then got dropped off at the girl. I was seeing someone, we'd split up. So that's the first house I went to. Yeah. Obviously I went to the closest person to me there. So I went to her house. And mine's sitting at the side of her bed. And she was in bed. I didn't even get into the bed, and I sat there. And the phone was in the dark. It was one of them 60, you know, the phones went do. No, that ringtone. It's like the long
Nokias.
Nokia, yeah. One of those. And I sat there, and next thing my phone started to ring. It was Dad, and I lifted the phone, and he says, "Where are you at, son?" And I says, "I'm in the girl's house," and I says, I says, "Is he okay?" And he says, "He's okay, but he's not well." He says, "I'm coming to get you now. Don't move." But he was dead. Like, yeah. The police had come to my house to take my car away. They thought somebody said I drove over him. Yeah. They loaded the cars and all on, but that's another story. I'm not really going into that. But I just seen the blue lights in coming. Car come in, and the girl I was seeing and her best friend was there, who was a cousin of mine. And I hugged them both and said sorry. And I walked outside, and the police was standing at the bottom of the steps, and I just put my hands out to God, and he says to me, "I'm arresting you on the suspicion of the murder of Finbar Francis McVeigh." I'll never remember them three things. And he didn't even put the cuffs on me. I just broke down and cried. Got into the car. I think my father was in the car as well. I'm not sure, maybe he followed it. And I was taken to, taken to Cookstown Police Barracks. And I remember my father, I don't know if you were in trouble in your life before, but they take you in and they do he was standing where they take the fingerprints and stuff at, and he just broke down and cried. And that's it in a nutshell. There's no point in me blaming Finbar or blaming anybody else, and I take full responsibility for my actions.
What part of that story have you been afraid to tell or silence yourself from up until now?
The entire thing.
The entire thing?
Yeah.
So you don't, because I know you go around prisons and talk now.
Yeah.
So like you don't even tell them.
I've never told that.
You won't even tell them.
This is the first time I've ever told this. You know, and this is 22 years, and I went to his grave on the 20th anniversary, and that'll be 2 years ago now. Come up, I never went to his grave, but every day I drive through Dromone. I don't even stop at the shops in Dromone. No. You know, like I seen his sister the other day out jogging jogging out of our village. I was so embarrassed, like I just, Like I see her jogging, I know she can't stand me, but I'm so embarrassed, I'm so guilt, shame, and I could see her coming running, and I was trying to get away, you know, that she didn't run, and she wasn't going to say anything to me or anything, but I just didn't. To me, I was feeling I was disrespecting her, you know. So like even I read up things, and even in recent weeks there, I was reading, you know, things from it, and what his mum said after it, you know, and but them losing, they lost a child. That's the second child they lost. They lost a 1 or 1.5 year old when he was younger, and I didn't know that. And then I seen the sister wrote the thing about he had a mad looking Armagh to be Tyrone because he was a big dairy man, and I was reading all that, like, and it's tough. It's tough to read, but it's something I have to face, you know.
Have you been ignoring it then, or trying to block it out up until recently?
I think I've just been silenced because I was afraid of what people's reaction will to me telling the story.
Would be
people saying, "Oh, why is he talking about it now? Why is he bringing it up?" The reason, I'll tell you one of the reasons why I had a weird week. Can I go to the toilet here and we'll jump back?
Yes,
in?
100%. Right, take a note of pause now.
Sorry.
Oh, you're all good, man. So
just had to take a wee break from that. That was a. No, I'm not saying it was a crying moment. It's just I don't cry anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that I'm a hard man. Sometimes it's good to cry, but I've cried for 22 years now, and I'm not doing it anymore. You know.
No, but bladder's empty.
Yeah.
And we're ready to get stuff back in here.
So, like, well, that story there now, I know how to get up and go out and come back in again. I find it very difficult to find a balance right now.
Yeah.
But I will find it. This is why I'm doing this, and I'll tell you another reason why I've did it as well, and why I think the download's coming. I find it hard to find a balance between taking someone's life and saving so many people now.
Yeah.
I genuinely can put my hand on my heart. I save people's lives.
Yeah.
I had a young boy, and he's on a podcast of mine. Aidan Gallen, his father committed suicide, and the lad he's a potential jockey. Everything was going his way. His father took his own life, and he fell into deep depression, drink, drugs, and he came to me. He's 8 months sober yesterday, and he came to me 9 months ago, or just before it, and I took him on, and I spent 6 months with him, and he's now out on his own now. The last 2 months or so. He hasn't changed his habits whatsoever. But when I took him, what I do in my mentoring members, I don't like call them friends. I don't like call them clients. They're friends that invest in me. They come down, they can train with me, they can, and I take them for food. So I took him for food one day, and he walked outside with me, and he says, "Ryan," he looked at me, and I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
Turned around, he goes, "Ryan, you saved my life." And I just went, "All right, no bother, here, talk to the other lad." But now, I am accepting that I save people's lives. And I know this podcast here now, someone in the same position I'm in, or maybe has lost someone as well, tragic circumstances, is going to look at someone who I'm the criminal. I'm not the victim here. I'm the criminal, right? That they can look and say, you know what? People make fucking mistakes.
Yeah. 100%. Well, obviously you are moving into mentoring and changing people's lives, and from that day we'll move into your life after it. But if you don't mind, I have a couple of questions about it.
Yep.
Are you okay to talk about it?
Yep.
After that happened, had you ever spoke to the family? Was there any?
I've reached out.
You reached out.
But they said no. But I'm glad they did, because it's like a prison thing. Coming out of prison, you can do there's a name for it. I can't mind what it is. It's like you meet the family and you talk to them. They didn't want to meet me, which is understandable. But like, to meet me back then, I wouldn't even know what I was talking about or what I was doing.
What about, so you said the autopsy said he died instantly, but you said you heard him take his last breath.
Yeah.
What was that moment like? Like, is that in the image that you?
I said this is there for life.
That's there for life.
Every week, that'll flash up in my head. But I still think it down. What he's telling me, would you fucking stop, please? You know, if I was living today, me and you be having a pint, or me and you be training in your gym, or that's what I when that comes into my head. To me, that's the devil, that's the ego, saying trying to torment me with that, and then I just take the other download and say, look,
Was there? So you said there you were a criminal, because obviously you went to prison. So there was a criminal record over this. Was there a trial or a court, or was it just?
Oh
straight,
no! I at the earliest. There's a lot of things happened, right? When you read back on the court records, the kind of try to state that I didn't show remorse, right? And I was so bait on how I didn't show remorse. I pleaded guilty at the earliest to manslaughter, but I can see now where I went wrong. I was on house arrest for over 2.5 years, so like at a curfew from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening. So I could get out of the house at 8 o'clock, go to work, and come home. 6 o'clock I had to be in the house. I had a signed bail Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wasn't allowed in licensed premises. I wasn't allowed in the restaurants. I wasn't allowed. I just basically wasn't allowed to do anything. Be in the house and be at home. So I did that for nearly 2.5 years. And when it was over 2 years gone, my football team, Arbo, went to Toronto. So I went to court and asked, could I get a relaxation of my bail conditions to go to Toronto to play football. We went over there to play Paris Green Sevens. We won it. So they relaxed. The judge says, no problem, look, I'll relax it, no problem, we'll let him go. So I went, and then I was seeing someone at the time as well that I met in that period of time, and they wanted to go on holidays, and so did I. So I put in an hour request again to go on holidays. I went to Barbados, and this is about a week or two before I went into jail. Yeah. And that I can look at that now. That was me not being remorseful. Well, I didn't need to go on holiday. Yeah. I'd taken someone's life, and like I was just being, even though I didn't know it, I was just being selfish. It was with me. Oh, I've been in the house so long, but it wouldn't matter if I was in the house from 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock for the rest of my life. I still had my life to live. Yeah. I still was here. I was still breathing air. I got to see that there was social media. I had the possibility to see if I can have kids. I got all those run a business. He never got that opportunity because I took that away from him. So I can see why people looked at me not being remorseful whenever I did those two things. During my bail conditions. So it did go to trial. I admitted guilt at the very first plea of manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter. It meant that I took someone's life, didn't mean to do it. Yeah. And we went to the court, and I got sentenced to 4 years in prison. So I had 2 full years to do, and then I had 2 years in license when I got out.
You pleaded obviously to manslaughter, so you
there's no trial.
So you knew you were going.
Yeah.
What was that first day of prison like?
So I remember walking up to court that day with my father, and I had a white short, a pair of trousers on me, and I had the bag with me, and there was a big hole in the ground when I was walking towards the courthouse.
Yep.
And I says to my father, what's that? He says, oh, they're building a big shopping centre there. And I says, right, no problem. Little did I know, when I came out 2 years later, Victoria Square was built. So I seen the hole in the ground.
Yeah.
The car park and all this, just a big hole in the ground, they were digging it.
Yeah. So
I walked past that on the way to the courthouse. So, first day of prison, what happened was I was taken downstairs after I was sentenced, and if I could have killed myself, 100% I'd have killed myself, 100%. I would have. But you couldn't, because they put you in a cell, took your laces off you, they took your belt off you, took everything off you.
Why though? What was going through your head?
I 4 years, and I couldn't spend 2 years in prison. Just selfishness again. That ego in my head trying to torture me. It tortured me for 20 years. Yeah. Nearly 20 years. We'll talk about that there as we go ahead. But I sat there all day in the holding cell. Yeah. So I was there I was up in court at 11. I was out of court in half an hour, 45 minutes. You're out there. Like once there's no trial or nothing. And I was taken out. So I was there all day, and I couldn't understand why I was there all day. But I was waiting on other people that were getting sentenced.
Right.
So, but 5:30, right, we're ready to go into, what's it called, the horse box. You'll see them there driving up and down the motorway there with the wee black windows on it. You're just sitting in a wee seat, and you're cuffed, and you're taken into McGabry prison. And McGabry prison, you're stopped 4 or 5 times before you get in, even in the van. So that's how secure it is. So into McGabry, you go into the reception area, you're put into like a big holding cell. Everybody's in there, and there's windows and all. You can just like checking in the hotel. Go up, take your bag up.
Right.
They take you in. Now this is whenever you start being demoralised. Like, so people think, people don't know the things that I went through. The punishments that I've got for this. Yeah. Right. So it just was constant. I'm constantly punished for this. Constantly. Can't get into America. Can't get into Australia. I'm just constantly punished, even to this day, which is fair enough.
It's still affecting your life.
Yeah, it's still there. So you're checked in, they take you in, strip you down, naked, buck naked, make you squat. You're just demoralised. They'll take your clothes off you if it doesn't match them. So if there's a hood on it or there's a certain colour, and they just they'll put you in prison clothes if you haven't got the right clothes with you. So obviously I hadn't the right clothes on me. So I ended up with wee bits and pieces. Everybody checked in, then you're taken, and I was taken up into the prison. I think it was row house or somewhere I was put at the start, and put into a cell. And there's a wee Scottish boy there, and he was so happy. But little did I know, and I hadn't a clue what drugs were. Never seen a drug in my life. And he was high. He was smoking dope or whatever it was the time, and I could smell it, but I didn't know what the smell was. And I had no food, no nothing. And he had a tuck shop, and he gave me some tuck shop, And he smoked away at the dope, and he was high, and I just hadn't a clue what he was. I didn't even know you weren't allowed it.
So was he just smoking in the cell?
In the cell, aye, and I was in with him. And then the next day, I was moved somewhere else.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by These Wild Stories. If you're a newly engaged couple and hate getting your photo taken, then today's sponsor is perfect for you. Ran is a wedding photographer based in Armagh who pretty much specialises in relaxed, candid photography so that your wedding day doesn't feel like a photo shoot. You only have to go to his website to see what I mean. The majority of his work is capturing things that happen in the moment rather than setting up the shot. Ran's wedding photography page is called These Wild Stories, and if you head over to his website and like his work, he's offering a 10% discount on packages if you get in touch and use the code word RESULTS to let him know you came from this podcast. So the website is www.thesewildstories.com, and it's These Wild Stories on Instagram too. Be sure to check that out if you or your friends or family members have just got engaged.
So that was kind of my first day in prison. A lot of other stuff happened in prison. A lot of things, I seen Andre Sucre. I've seen him I get a job in the reception where you get checked in.
Right.
So this job was given to me, and I couldn't understand why I got it. But because I was kind of a model prisoner, look, this lad's in here. He's never been in trouble in his life. A complete freak accident what happened. So I was up making the screws, they call them, the prison guards. I was making their some of them are screws and some of them are prison guards. The nice ones I call prison guards, and there is still pricks in there, that hate themselves, that take it on, put it on to prisoners. Doesn't matter if you're a good prisoner or a bad prisoner, they'll nail you they don't like you. So I was making food for them. I think the only thing I could make at the time, and I've said this, was maybe toast and a bit of cheese and tomato on it, that was it. But I was in there, they showed me how to make fries, so the sausages and the bacon and the eggs and all. So the prison guards would bring this in, and then I cook it for them. So then I could eat whatever I wanted. But I was out of my cell. This is what it was. The deal was you're out from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening. Right? And you didn't have to be in your cell. So I did that there for a right while. But I seen everybody coming in. So I seen Sucre coming in, and I seen the Grey Steel killers coming in, and seen all these big names, Trevor Hamilton. I seen that other boy that abducted a girl. He was big news. So I seen all these people coming in. But through time, I kept walking from reception to the wing I was been held in. So you would have went outside and walked around, and all I could hear was root. I didn't know what the fuck they were on about. Okay. So obviously with a Republican background family, a priest came over to me, and he says to me, "You have to go to mass. One of the Republican prisoners want to speak to you." And I go, "What the fuck? have I done here now?
Right.
So I went over to the mass, and I'm never going to say who it is, but they know who they are. And they says to me, get off that wing. And I says, why? He says, that's for sex offenders and people that have been under protection. So I was in Bush House. So everybody seen me walking in there thinking I was a sex offender.
So why'd they put you there?
They don't give a fuck about you.
They throw you anywhere?
No. But it was a SNA. Like, see all these sex offenders and people like that. They're getting well looked after. Trust me.
Oh, really?
I seen it. Compared to other people.
So what I see prison life, right? You see it in TV and you see it in movies, and some things will show it that it's like a daycare centre.
Yeah.
And other things will show it that it's real run down and rough, and you get stabbed out in the yard and this and that there. What actually is real? Well, I suppose you can only speak about McGabry. What actually is real prison life? Is it rough? Is it just isolation?
You make it as rough as you want.
Yeah.
Like, all the rough prisoners will be put in together.
Right.
Right. So if you're going to be just a constant scumbag in there and taking drugs and drink and making your hooch and taking steroids and just being a fucking scumbag, they'll put you in a wing full of scumbags and let you at it. But then boys all normally just get on because that's what they do.
That's what they do.
So the likes of myself there, I had to be in there for a while, but then I'd be moved. Or no, they normally wouldn't fire someone like me in there, but I did it up among all those boys because I started working in the gym. You see, so it's, you know what. I was in it there recently. I was in, where was I at recently? I was in McGabber recently. I was in Haybank recently. It's still the same, but it's more updated. You know, they are working on the mindset and they are working on all that type of stuff. But that stuff was there too when I was there. I wasn't buying into it.
Aye.
You know, it wasn't cool to buy into that. It wasn't cool.
What's that, like the reform programs, probably?
Reforming programs. They'll bring people in to talk. They were doing all that. You know, but at that time I was very young. Like I was only 22, 23, 24. But it's like I was in that wing, and like Trevor Hamilton was on that wing, and if you look him up, he got the longest sentence ever in the history of the Northern Ireland justice system. So he kidnapped someone and raped them, killed them, wrapped them up in polythene, threw them into dumped them in a shuck, and then he got found guilty of it, and I ended up in the same.
Do you know the way you'd see, like, say, sex offenders now, or pedophiles, or people that do stuff to young kids, like in a roundabout way, or abduct young kids, or murder young kids? You always see social media blasting about, and it's like they'll get taken care of in prison.
Oh, they do be, 100%.
Do they?
Fact.
But when I say taken care of, I mean like other prisoners would be like, you know, they kick their fucking. Or
They're kept away.
Kept away.
Oh no, they're not. They all them. See all them sick people.
Yeah.
Like.
So they get taken care of.
I don't want to hypocrite myself here because I do. When people make mistakes, but see people that rape or do things like that, kids, I have fucking no time for them. No. I just think it's, to be honest with you, it's death penalty to me. You're not, and I hate, it sounds hypocritical of me, but no, I went on Facebook this morning, I was coming in, I seen somebody in my local area, not too far away, was stung like an older man, and it's just disgusting what he was doing like. But
you're saying so whenever you see on social media,
they're all put in together, and
so when you say they get taken care of, they actually get like looked after then?
Oh, everybody's looked after. Yeah. Everybody is, right? But these boys are all put in the same wing.
So as other people can't
get together. These boys are meant to rehabilitate these boys, put them all in together.
Well, they're probably all having a laugh about
it. Having a discussion about it.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't get them boys will be scalded or they'll be beat up or something would happen to them like.
Aye.
So they're protected like.
So they're protected.
Now, I'm not saying the prison guards are best friends with them, but they have to do their job, you know.
Have to do their job. Yeah. What about yard time? Again, I only see films, so like, you know.
So the way prison works is 8 o'clock in the morning your door opens and your milk's at the door. So if you don't get up and get your milk, somebody else is going to be away with it. Right? And then you can go get a shower.
Yeah.
Get yourself tidied up, and you have about 30 minutes so to be ready to go out to whether you're going to work or you're going to education or whatever you're going to do. You go out around about 9 o'clock, half 8, 9 o'clock, and you'll stay out to about 12, and then you'll come back people work in the kitchens, people work in reception, people work in the gyms, people work, their education. You come back then, and then you get fed, and then it's a lock up from maybe 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock. And then they come back, let you out again. You go to your work or education, whatever you've got on, or maybe you have a gym, it's your gym session, and then you come back and you get your dinner, and they'll lock you up again then from about 4 o'clock, 4:30 to say 5:30, 6. Then they'll come and they'll let you out again, and then you'll be out from about 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Just get your hot water, get whatever you want, bang, locked up, 12 hours. Like all this 23-hour lock up and all it's very, very seldom you're locked up 23 hours. That's, people just like to say, if you're fucking about, or there's something happens in the prison, or a prison guard gets hurt or attacked, they'll lock you down, you know.
Did you ever see any of that? Like prison?
Oh, I did. Why?
Prison guards get attacked and all?
Oh, I've seen it.
What was the craziest thing you've seen while in prison? Is there one thing sticks out? If you have a couple, you can just shoot them, like.
Not really, no. Just phones, drugs, boys watching porn, like doing tins of beer. Seen all that, like all them things happening, you know. It's,
I don't mean this in a bad way, right? But it doesn't sound that bad. Like
this is where if people ask me, prison was basically one of the best times of my life, right?
Really?
And I only realised that now to the last 3 years, because I had a non-negotiable routine. Like I named it to there now. You get up in the morning, and you got your breakfast, and you got washed and changed, ready to go. You went to work wherever you're going to. You come back and you had your lunch. Then you went back out to work. You come back and did your dinner, and you could maybe get out to go and train, and then you come back and you got your supper, and you're in bed for 8 o'clock, and you're back, and that's a non-negotiable routine. You know,
it sounds like a daycare centre, like a holiday camp.
It's like going to school and you don't like it, but you can't go home that evening.
Aye.
So it can't look. It is. It's not the end of the world, like. But
you've been in it, right? And you spoke about like things you don't agree with, like rape and pedophiles and blah blah blah. Do you think prison should be harder? Do you think it's too easy?
Prison is only hard if you make it hard for yourself.
Yeah.
What you're taking away from your family.
Yeah.
You're getting, like, it's punished. Like if I was to throw you in, you wouldn't think it's a poly camp. You wouldn't last 5 minutes on it. Your head would go. So it's just not. I know it sounds, but that's experience. Because it takes me about 6 months to realise. You know, it's a normal. It's a different. It's a world. It's a world inside the world. So when you come out, you're outside it. It's a.
What was it like that first day coming back into the real world? Like you mentioned about driving past that shopping centre and it was just up.
So
what was it like?
Right, leading up to my release, you got town visits. So I was on my last visit, and like you talk about punishment that I went through.
Yeah.
Like this happened to me. So my mother hardly ever come up to see me because it was very difficult for her to see me in that position, right? Obviously, there was another mother that never seen her son again.
What about your father?
He had to come up. Oh, he was there. He was there every day. Anytime he'd open, he was there. He would have made excuses to be there.
Yeah.
But I remember Mum would come to see me before I got out my town visits. So you get out, could have went to Limbavati. I was in McGilligan this time, so I went from McGilligan to McGabry to McGilligan, and Mum said, "Son, it's going to be great. I'll never have to come here and see you again. Next time I'll see you outside for 6 hours." And I says, "No problem." So I left the visit, felt great, went down, went into my cell, and I'd always give Mummy and them an hour or so to get home. And then I'd ring them. So I left the phone, rang. Kevin answered it. Kevin was 10 years younger than me, so Kevin maybe wasn't at that time maybe 11 or 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And I says, "Well, his mum and them is home." And he goes, "Oh, did you not hear?" Obviously, I was going to hear. And I goes, "What?" He says, "Colum's dead." This was my uncle.
Right.
Me and him worked together. He's another person I had looked up as well because he'd have looked after himself. So maybe that's another person that you asked me at the start who I looked up to. Colum's dead. And I says, "What happened?" He says, "Oh, he killed himself." So that day that my mum was down visiting me, her younger brother, hung himself. Hung himself at his own home just down Moortown beside us.
Flip.
So like, me and him was close, and I remember I got off the phone and I walked down into my cell, I closed the door, and I fucking cried. It takes a lot for me to cry, but I just lost myself. So, you know, that was suicide. I think it was the first suicide in our family. I think it's maybe the first or the only. So that was leading up to my first day getting out. Now, that wasn't bad enough. They wouldn't let me out for the funeral.
No?
Nope, wouldn't let me out for the funeral. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, a few days before my release, there was an article in the Sunday World that they called me the One Punch Killer is coming out. He's 18 stone. A guy was 18 stone of muscle and was on steroids, and somebody put that in the Sunday World.
Were you 18 stone? Like,
No.
were you heavier? No?
No, it was a bit heavy, but it wasn't 18 stone.
Sorry, just when you mentioned One Punch Killer, when I was younger, I remember that being passed around. Like, it was, what do they call it? You know, when the police do like publications and they start spreading their like drug awareness and awareness campaigns. So I remember like One Punch killing campaigns going about. Was that because of?
I was maybe one of the very first people that happened to. But that article came out in the paper, and then that stopped my town visit. So then for about 3 or 4 weeks, I still did not get out. I had to go back into visits again, the prison visits.
You're saying town visit, right? I didn't. So I don't know what this is. Do you obviously get to go out to a local town?
So you go out, they'll let you out of the prison, out the front gate, and then your loved ones can lift you in the car, and they can take you then to the town.
So that's unattended or
you're on your own, yeah. But you'll have restrictions. Like my restriction was no licensed premises.
Right.
You know, so
what's to stop you just running?
That's how. See, when you see these boys that have escaped,
Aye.
that's how they've escaped.
Oh, so they're letting them out then?
They're letting them out, and then they're not coming back. You know, which is stupid, like, because if you're getting out, you're one step out the gate, like.
Yeah.
When they start letting you out, then they're going to see, can they trust you? Can you adapt to the outside world? And then people just go run away, you know.
And are you out like in your prison rags, whatever you're wearing, or do they like give you?
No, you're out in your early clothes, aye.
Aye.
You're out in your early clothes.
I actually didn't. I didn't know that.
Well, that's they call that. That's because McGalbury's category A. I think McGilligan is category C or maybe category B, and then there's category C in it. There's a place called Foilview, and that's where they're all housing like mobiles and stuff. Right. All different rooms in them. They don't get locked up, so they get out at 8 o'clock in the morning. Their units opened.
Yeah.
There's maybe a unit, maybe 13 or 15 rooms in it, and it's open, and they can go out about. There's a bit of gardening. There's a football field. You can go out and walk around and stuff like that. So you get out from 8 to 8. And then they lock the actual cabin, but you can go to the kitchen and walk up to your rooms. You've got your own room, and you can bring your own bedding in and stuff like that. So it's that's just a step out.
Yeah.
You know, and like again, I was in there, and obviously there's 13 to 15 prisoners in the same awning, or I can't remember what they called it, or is there a name for it? But our toilet was full of phones, steroids, all that stuff. They were all hid underneath the floor. Yeah. One of the boys put them in there. So we were all taken up for questioning on it, and nobody owned up to it. So the 13 of us got sent back up into the prison again. So I had to get 8 weeks of good reports to get back down to them. So that happened before all the suicide of my uncle and all happened. So it was mayhem in there, you know. The only good thing out of that place that I got was my habits, and the other thing was I worked in the gym, and that's how I become a gym owner.
Yeah, so we're talking about coming back out of prison then, so we'll go back to that and carry on. So what was that like, coming out of prison and going back into the real world then? Like, what did you do? What was
the first few weeks I was very embarrassed.
Yeah.
So like it was weird, like, you know. I didn't go straight out and start. I'm telling you, I'm telling lies. And actually, no, it was weird. When I done a week in remand, and I come out, right before I got sentenced. So whenever I get arrested, I had to go in for a week in remand. And I seen a man cut his wrist in my cell that week that I was in there. So it was weird when I got out then. But then when I got out, Marty, I went clean off the rails.
Yeah.
I took my first drug on my first night out. So I got out on the Friday for a weekend parole. Now, you can talk about the town visits. They were just out and you were going to a restaurant or somewhere, going to bite to eat and sit back in again. You weren't out, you were back in again. So it was weird, the smell and you had a bit of anxiety and stuff like that. So it's like anything, it's just excitement, you know. I talk about the flow state. I stay in the flow state all the time. And it's a state of desire and anger and stuff like that. But there's that pure, it's just like pure heaven.
Yeah.
That's the kind of feeling I got when I come out. Then I was to sit back into flow state in prison. But my first proper weekend out, never took drugs in my life, didn't know what they looked like, hadn't a clue. My first weekend out, I went to Planet Love in Antrim.
Yeah. And
it was real hard to get drink. You know when you go to them festivals, you can't get drink.
I had to queue up for ages.
My mate says to me, take one of those there. So he handed me an ecstasy tablet. And then I took it. And then I was hooked on ecstasy tablets for a bit. They're not hooked. I was taking them every weekend, every hour weekend for about nearly a year. So like when I got out, I just went completely, the ass just fell out of me.
So prison not that it didn't reform you, because I haven't really talked about that, but when you got out then, you enjoyed freedom again for your first while?
I just, what do I say? I just started self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage. How long did you go down that path then before you, because I know obviously you've changed your life around now. How long were you in that state then? You said for about a year and a half?
That was from 2008 till, late 2007, 2008 till 3 years ago. 3 years ago in January.
3 years ago.
So what's that? That's 20 years.
It's a long time. Well, okay. Well, you've done a lot before 3 years back. What was your first sort of positive step, and what was the light bulb or switch to make that change?
It wasn't all bad for that 20 years.
Yeah.
I established a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
So like if you start off, I come out of jail, I was working in the gym, right? And I have this way about me. I don't take no for an answer, right? I just keep coming back, right? If you dug a hole there now, if I dig a hole there now and I leave and I come back around tomorrow and you fill it in again, I dig it again. You're fed up digging the fucking thing and saying, this man's not going to stop, like. You know, that's just the way I am.
Yeah.
So I got the job in the gym. I asked for it and they said you weren't getting it. So I kept asking for it until one day I got it. So I worked in the prison gym. It was class, brilliant place. Some setup. And I just, knowing how to run the prison gym, I just says one day I'm going to open a gym. So I mean, when I got out, and this was end of 2007, start 2008, I says to my old fella, I says I'm going to open a gym. And he says to me, son, there's no money in it left in watts. Now that's weights, the old boy would call them watts. You know, way back in the day they'd call a bomb a bum. There's a bum in Belfast. And I says, no, and he says, look, you're on your own. There's a recession. It was 2008. That's the first real bang of a recession. And he says, you're on your own. But I insisted I was going to do it. So I got it back in getting loans and stuff like that. If you'd like, I came out, I had nothing.
Yeah.
I had zero. I hadn't a penny in the bank. I had nothing. All I had is the brown bags come out with, right? And I had a good family, and I got a car when I come out, all right?
Yeah.
So I had a car, because people turn around and say, oh, you're talking shit, you didn't have nothing. Yes, my family, you know, like people say, oh, you're fed with a silver spoon. Like somebody said to me recently there, on a thing, I see daddy bought you a new gym.
Yeah.
And I just wrote back, I says, it's a pity your old boy was useless and he couldn't buy you anything. So that's the way I answer people back like that.
I actually have, and I'd say my feelings on that have changed. When I was younger, right, and hold my hands up too, I would have looked at people whose family gave them everything because they had it, and you would have been jealous. Like I remember, now look, I'll change now, right? Because when we grew up, every summer people in our school would have went to Spain, Salou, all the water parks, and we went to a caravan down in Mullimore, right?
Same.
And you're like, why can't we go on a plane every
Yeah,
year, right?
yeah.
Now looking back on it now, my entire family, we have a big family, and we would have took 2 weeks down in the caravan.
Yeah.
You would have overlapped a couple of days with cousins before you,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have overlapped a couple of days with cousins after you, and you would have got a week in the middle with your own family. So every summer you would have overlapped with two sets of cousins. But back then, jealousy, I would have said, why aren't we going on planes? Why aren't we going to water parks? You know, why aren't we going into the sun? But now, looking back on it, best holidays of my life.
But that was desire.
Yeah. But see now, my mindset has now changed, because I'm going, see if I make it, if I become wealthy, I'm going to help my kids achieve whatever they want. You know, of course I am. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't a father work his entire life to achieve stuff to then deprive their kids? Now, I'm not saying you hand them an endless supply of money, but if my kids grow up and one of them has a passion for baking buns or baking cakes, I'm going to go, right, here's a couple of pound, let's get you started, let's see where it goes. You take it from there.
The only wrong thing you said in that conversation there was, even every thing about, you said if I make it, you will make it.
Well, you're the mindset coach.
Yeah, you will make it.
You're the mindset coach.
You know, so whenever you the power of chasing words is massive. So like, I know, like see, the advice I give you, and I do podcasts myself, is see what you just did there now.
Yeah.
You podcast yourself. You need to do that, because that there's going to be brilliant for other people to hear that. You know, that's, and like, the old me would say to you, fuck you, just because your old boy didn't work as hard as my old boy worked. But I'd say, if you look at your old fella now, he fucking worked hard. Like, hey, 2 weeks away in a caravan park's not cheap.
No, well, it was our caravan. Like, I mean, there was 7 families that bought this caravan between them, and every year we went up there, and it was fucking great. But yeah, like, look, I talked to my mum and dad now, and like, my mum and dad gave us everything that they could, and then some. You know, they weren't business owners, they weren't entrepreneurs, they just worked. Yeah. And we had a great childhood, great upbringing, but as a kid, you kind of took for granted, why aren't we going on planes? Because you've seen all people going on planes. It was shiny object syndrome.
I mean, going to school and seeing boys with a Nike on and the Reebok pump, and I go home to mum and say, I want a pair of Reebok pump. Yeah. She come to me with things with pump up, they're at done stores. And I was getting stick to school about it. But like, that's all they could give us. But mummy and daddy worked that hard. Like, it took daddy till I was 16 before he got his break, you know? And he's still the exact same man today. So like, I have people, as I sit there, people saying to me, oh, you know, your daddy bought you a gym, and I just says, look, and I wrote it in TikTok back, and I normally never write anything back. I goes, just because I says, I didn't say it in that way. I says, look, just because your father didn't work hard enough and he couldn't buy you anything. Yeah. And the amount of people that screenshot and sent to me, he says, that's some answer. But I says, it's true. I said, like, you know, 2 massive vices, or 2 or 3 massive vices, is anger and jealousy. Yeah. Or vices that people have. And I had them. And resentment. Yeah. I used to be a resentful bastard. You know, I was jealous. You know, I used to be, only person should have a gym. I should be only personal trainer about. That happened, you know.
That's the Rand show does.
Yeah. So like now, I fucking love seeing people open gyms. Yeah. You know, I love to see it happening, because not everybody's going to go to me. And not everybody's going to go to you. No. That's the way it is. There's 7 or 8 billion people in the world. You can't service them all. You know?
No, that's it. There's so much money floating around. It's just a big pool, like, and rivers of flows, and it can float everywhere. Again, back in the day when we first started, like one fit and stuff, we wanted everything, but then you quickly realize you don't need everything. You need a fraction of a percentage of a market to become wealthy. You know, there's just so much about. So you don't have to take food off somebody else's table. You just have to put food in yours. So
we get back to I got a loan and a few quid. I had a car when I got out. Everybody got me a nice car. Yeah. I fucking appreciate it massively. I buy my own cars now, but back then I hadn't pissed a pot in, you know, or a pot to piss in. Wrong way about there. Yeah. So I got rid of the car, got a few quid, and I bought gym equipment out of China. Yeah. Right. I touched on this a few weeks ago about people. Someone was giving a wee bit of jip online about Chinese equipment, and I've got branded equipment and blah blah blah. And I kind of just nipped them in the bud about it. Yeah. And it's not that they were getting at me, but a lot of people go out there and buy this branded equipment, and it's like taking a mortgage out, and then they wonder why their gym doesn't work. Yeah. Because they're paying off rent, rates, gym equipment, electric, heating, all that. And they end up with nothing then. And you know yourself, it's like in business, if you end up with You were just wiping your nose. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know, so I brought the equipment out of China, and people by that time were just being rude about it. No, bringing out China equipment, blah blah blah. So I bought 15 grand's worth of gym equipment that fit my whole gym.
Yeah.
Right, where it would cost me that time 90 grand here, and I end up selling that gym equipment 5 years later for 15.5 grand. You know,
540 paid for
so
it.
I got £500 more than I got paid for it,
Yeah.
and then so that's how it started. So when I opened the gym, and the only thing about the China thing is it took that long to come in the boat back in.
It does.
So I was waiting, and I had everything ready. Everything was ready. I spent a year getting the place ready. I had everything, only gym equipment, right? So I was running out of money. I mind the old boy saying to me, he says to me, "There's no money in lifting watts, son." So I out of the money that I got, I put 2 grand down on a new Bilingo van, a black Bilingo van, and it was £210 or £225 or something a month, and I was running out of money. So though I just at that point, I'm gonna have to go to the old boy here and ask him for £200 odd to pay for my like £200 odd back then was big dough. Like now, people, it's nothing. So I was going to have to ask him. So what I did was, right, this is whenever my social media come in. This is when my marketing come in. I went on social media and I says, right, I'm releasing 50 spaces, or 20 spaces, can't remember what it was, and it's a limited amount of people.
Yeah.
And if you pay, then that's you in. I sold them all I got there. Got the money in the bank, paid for the van, but 2 days later the gym equipment landed. But then the LS results opened.
How long did it take you to build the equipment?
Oh, it was 2 days, and all my mates were all there. We had pack decks on that would have done your shoulders, we had it all over the place.
Yeah.
It was just took time to get it all built back the way it should be.
Yeah, no. Which one was that? Was it because I met you first at the one in Cookstown with Aaron McLeod? That was the first time I met you.
That's the second. That was a franchise. It's now Maga. Call it. It's a franchise now. It was a franchise back there, and then
where was the first one then?
First one was in Arbo. So I've done 6. I've done 6 gym in different locations. You know.
You've 2 now, don't you?
Just of the one. No, of the one.
You not opened another one?
No, just the one. Just the one now.
Just the one.
I just opened it there. I sold my property, and where I moved it in COVID, and the new gym, and I sold it to that American. And then, or with Irish American, and then I've bought a new place and opened it there. Opened it there first week of February.
I guess because I'd seen you doing the new one, so I thought it was the second one. I didn't realise you'd sold the other one.
I moved it.
Yeah.
What's my plan? My plan is now to open them more on my own. I want to open them. I've a business model for it now, the way it's going to be. So this, like in the last month there, we've over 50 new members because of the new location.
Yeah,
it's where it's at. Footfall's massive, you know. So that's how the gym started. So it is.
Well, obviously fitness plays a big part of your life. What does fitness and the industry mean to you? Or how's it changed over time?
It's what keeps me alive.
Is it?
That's what keeps me alive. Like getting up if you take away from me now what I have, my members, my online members, all those people there, I have nothing.
No.
I wake up every day to go online to keep those people in their habits.
Yeah, I suppose. What do you think? Well, do you have an answer? What do you think you'd be doing right now if you weren't involved in fitness?
Dead.
Dead? Honestly, dead?
100%. Dead. Sure.
So you think that spiral, when you come out of prison, that spiral of drinking and drugs, that's just what that was?
All that, yeah. Drinking, like it's, we haven't touched on that bit, but, you know, the gym opened one in Dungiven, franchise, opened another franchise in Cookstown, opened another franchise in Cookstown, moved from one I started with in Arbo and moved it to a new location and bought and built a dream house.
Yeah.
After a year, nearly 2 years, my plan was to sell that after 10 years. I sold it within, and it wasn't for sale, someone just wanted it. And I sold it. And now, a year ago on the 11th, I decided to take on a mentor. And that's a year ago. And I have built an online business. Now in the last 4 or 5 months, 6 months there, I kind of had to take a step back. I'm still doing it because I was building a new place. Yeah. So that's where it's taken me to today. Obviously I have a meal prep business as well that supplies shops, supplies people online, and now it's on Amazon. But in that period of 16 years of becoming a businessman, I fell deep down into addiction. So, my life just became unmanageable. Look, my biggest problem was rejectment. I couldn't deal with rejectment, right? Well, if that was a relationship, if I was in a relationship and we broke up and they wouldn't get back in a relationship with me, that rejectment sent me. I connected to drink, right? When I connected to drink, I don't have a drug problem. I have a drink problem. So I drink, I take drugs. Yeah. Right. So, so I resisted a lot of things. Like I resisted. See that story I told you earlier? Yeah. I resisted that for 20 odd years. And I resisted going to the grave. I think I touched on that earlier on. And the day that I went to the grave, and I got a 2 and a 0, it was 20 years, and I got it in the colour of Finbar's club team, their mom, and I got a colour, he's a big Celtic man, colour of the Celtic. And I put it on his grave, but I got someone else to drive me because I was afraid of running into the family. But the download was, you have to go here. This is crazy, and I'm going to tell you now. I'll tell you 2 stories before we finish up. I went to the grave, and the barrier was closed into the car park. I couldn't get in. But the person with me, he knew the place. He wasn't from the Monish Marbo. He says, there's a wee slip road down here. So we're down the slip road, and I goes, fuck's sake, how am I going to find this man's grave in here? Yeah. So I jumps over the wall, and the first grave I walked into, and it was lit up green. Yeah. It was his grave. Nearly that, and it was a big bright moon, and the whole thing was lit up green. And I was saying to myself, this man has basically told me to come here. And I set the reeve down, and I was so embarrassed. You know that embarrassing feeling, that guilt feeling, that shame feeling. And I said a prayer, and I said sorry to him, and I left and got into the car. But I got a relief from that. And I don't know where I went to that. I don't know how I fell back into that again.
No, you're just talking about you're talking about relief. So
so acceptance. Right. So the opposite to resistance is acceptance. Yeah. So there's so many things that I resisted. I wouldn't go in here. I resisted talking about this, or resisted going to the grave, or resisted. When I just started to accept things, life become a lot more clear.
Yeah, so we're moving more into mindset phase now, right? Because obviously you've had a massive shift. Yeah. How long? Well, you said you've been struggling with drink, and you had
the shift come 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Was there a single point of click for that?
So, I'd got myself in a bit of a spot of bother, right? The way I reacted to something, and my father heard about it, and I was avoiding him, but I didn't know he'd heard about it. But I was avoiding. I was on a bit of a bender. I wasn't really, you wouldn't have seen me laying about the place drunk. I was good at hiding it. Right. So I had to go to Daddy's house for something one day, and it was after a funeral. I was missing funerals, I was missing wakes. That's another thing as well. I don't go to a lot of wakes and funerals because I'm afraid of bumping into family members of Finbar. So I was missing funerals, I was missing wakes, but there's this friend of mine's wife died, and I caught the tail end of the funeral. And I should have been at it, but I was dying from the weekend before. And this was on the Tuesday. So I had to go to the Outfellas for something, and I walked in, he was there. Just, normally not there, but he was there. No, I was going to the house for something, but it was my own home house. But I don't live there, but he was there. And he says, son, can I talk to you, man? And he's never normally like that. Yeah. Right? He says, can I talk? And I goes, yes. He says, sit down there. And I goes, right. He says, I got a phone call the other day, and we talked about what happened. And, as usual, it was my story. It was the alcoholic or the addict. Yeah. It was my story. Yeah. I only told half a story, right? But anyway, he says to me, son, I'm going to say something to you now, and you're not going to like it. He says, you're an alcoholic, and you don't know it. And he says, you're not the type of alcoholic you think you are. Now, I turned around and I goes to myself, what the fuck would you know of an alcoholic? You never drunk in your life. And I says, he's got numerous bars and stuff and you sell drink. So like, that was my ego kicking in. Because God had sent the old boy the download to tell me that I was an alcoholic. But my ego, who's the devil, was saying to me, don't fucking listen to your father here because you're only going to get better. Yeah. I just want you to continue to be a scumbag. Because the devil, if he showed up as the devil, would you hang around with him?
No, definitely not. I'm sure some people would like, but...
And if your enemy showed up as the enemy, would you hang around with him?
Yeah.
So they're going to show up and drink, drugs, porn, sex, eating shitty food, not training. That's how it shows up, right? And I was doing all those things. And he says to me, you know, you're an alcoholic. And I just left. I was smacking the mouth like.
Yeah.
What did I do? I was sit to the pub and I drunk.
I'll prove him wrong.
I drunk 4 pints on a Tuesday. And I was down to the last pint and I took the last mouthful. And Brian McGuigan, he's the bar owner, played for Tyrone. He says to me, Penn, I'll get you an hour pint there on the house. He says, for me, he says, I'm going off shift. I says, no, Brian, that's the last pint I'll have. And I woke up the next morning and I was brushing my teeth. And I was nearly booked. And you say, life's a mirror, it's not a window. And what I could see in that mirror, I knew what everybody else could see now. And I says, no, enough's enough.
That's enough.
So I lifted my phone and I sent a voice note. And if you ever see, if anybody's on my social media, you'll see a thing called The Beast. And it's me talking about my addiction to alcohol. Yeah. And you can hear me on the phone. I play the voice note of me and I just explained to a fella that quit drinking, quit taking drugs, quit gambling and all. And I says, how did you get sober? I says, I'm not an alcoholic, but I don't want to drink anymore. I only would drink on a Friday night, Saturday night, take a lock on a Sunday, a bidet on a Sunday, and take a lock on a Monday, take a lock on a Monday night to help me to sleep, and then I wouldn't drink again the Thursday. Well, obviously, I had a problem, like. Right. So that was the shift. That was the first mindset shift.
What do you think? Because obviously everybody likes to drink. So, what do you think the difference is from a social drinker that's healthy to go out for a couple of pints and an alcoholic? What's that fine line?
Have
you found it?
I don't drink anymore.
You don't drink anymore?
I haven't drank now. It'll be 2 years now this weekend. It's a Paddy's weekend. But it's 3 years ago. I didn't drink for 7 months. Yeah. And then I drank again. And then I drank for about 5 months, 6 months, and then I stopped again. Yeah. I'm not against alcohol, but I'm not for it. So I don't really have an opinion on alcohol. If somebody can go out and take 1 or 2 drinks and it doesn't change them, 100%. They're having a problem. But if you drink and you do things when you're drinking and it changes your mood and changes the way you are, you have they call it AUD, alcohol use disorder. Everybody doesn't have to be named an alcoholic, you know. Yeah. So to me, if you drink and it hinders your life. There's people who can drink to 2 or 3 drinks, that's it. Get up the next day as if they're normal.
100%.
And then there's people who just go out and fill themselves and they completely self-sabotage their lives, be it their relationships, their friendships, their business, their workplace. They self-sabotage that. Yeah. But I quit drinking, and the reason I drank again was I went AA, Alcohol Anonymous, and I live by the principles of AA. But am I a blue book thumper? There's people go out there thumping that blue book. Right, chapter 5, chapter 3, and that's fair enough. But when I go in an AA room, and I don't go to AA anymore, but if someone comes to me and says, look, I want to go to AA, I'll take them. Yeah. But the reason I don't go to AA anymore is I don't want to upset anybody in the room. Because when I go into AA, and there's somebody sitting there that's self-medicated up, if I go in there and there's someone saying they're going to kill the bus driver that day, or I go in there and there's someone extremely overweight and smoking 100 fags, they haven't got a connection with God. They're saying they have a connection with higher power. The higher power doesn't. When you stop one vice, you stop them all. So I have people that are in there that are still gambling, people taking self-medicated drugs, and they're not working out, they're not doing something to benefit themselves. So it's very hard for me to sit there and see people that I love in AA room and say nothing. So that's the reason why I don't go anymore.
So you're talking about these vices then. Do you think you're obviously a big all or nothing advocate now, because you are about mindset and you're trying to help people change their lives and get their lives better. So you are like all or nothing, whereas drinking is the same as gambling. Gambling's the same as smoking. Smoking's the same as whatever else. you're obviously like we've talked about a lot of negative things here. So you're moving into now the stage of your life where you're trying to find that balance of you've took a life, you're helping people now, you're trying to save lives. You've said that to me.
I'm not trying, I am.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
So obviously the mentor side of you coming out here now because you corrected me there earlier about the word if. You're correcting yourself now or correcting me again. Sorry. Are you happy now doing what you're doing?
Love it.
Love it.
Love it. Honestly, I love it. Like, I have people come on to me every day that want to do what I'm doing, but they have the exact same. There's a lot of people do what I do.
Yeah.
But they don't do what I do outside of what I do. So, like, I'm mentoring you here right now and saying to you, don't say if and don't say try. Yeah. Right? But I carry that out myself. So I can speak to you in a way. You know, there's people that are educated and have all the knowledge, but they don't apply it. So that's what put me off it. So I'd see someone out there, like I see people now, right? Yeah. And look, I see people out there that are telling people they're going to change their lives, right? And they're mentors, and they're going to take you to cold baths, and they're going to take you to these retreats and stuff. Yeah. But they're 5 or 6 stone overweight. So they actually don't respect themselves. So how can they help you if they don't respect themselves? They have a vice there. They're eating too much food. They're whatever they're doing. So that's what put me completely off it. But then I started to see people that actually are educated in it and they don't have an application problem. Yeah. You know, so a lot of people don't have an education problem, but they have an application problem. So that's what put me off doing it. But now I do it. And I have a mindset coach myself and I have a mentor. Jared's my mindset coach and Wes is my mentor. And whenever I bumped into Jared, he started talking all this hocus pocus stuff to me and I goes, oh fucking no, one of these idiots. But he kept at me and at me and at me. And like Jared was in my class when I was 10. And then I never seen him for 30 years. One day I was at the shop in Arbo and he was there. He was an American kid, come home. He was in my class for a year. Then he went to America. 30 years later, I bumped into him outside the shop and he started talking this hocus pocus stuff to me about acceptance and resentment and all this stuff. And I go, this fucking man's crazy. But the more he kept at me, the more it started to drop. The penny dropped. And once I started learning about the ego, I was free. And then once I learned about it, then I seen my mentor in Wes. A lot of people don't like him with the way he gets on, but he's just tough love and that's it. Yeah. And I started to watch him. And the more I watched him, the more you talk about, whenever you talk, your phone picks up what you're talking about. Next thing you see it on social media. So I seen him. So I reached out to him and paid him nearly 10 grand dollars to teach me what he's doing. And I've got my, like, people tell you money doesn't make you happy, never had money. You know, there's simple as that. That's just hate. So I used to be like that. I said, oh no, it's not all about the money. Money puts the wheel around, but love greases it, you know. So like, I've done really, really well out of it, you know. And it's not about the money for me, but you know, it just comes as a compliment, you know, to it.
But money is kind of like a fuel source, you know, and it does solve problems because if you're not worried about how to pay your mortgage or how to pay your rent or how to pay your electric bill or your kids got sick and the NHS is shite and we can't afford to go private, you know, it solves a lot of problems. And I think if people don't have financial stress, it frees them up to care about the real shit. Yeah. You know, you're not going to care about how you speak to your wife if you're panicking in your head about we're going to lose this fucking house. Yeah. You know, or whatever. So that's my take on money. Yes, people say it does. You hear it all the time. Money.
But money did self-sabotage me because when I was making money, I was spending drugs and drink and stuff like that. So now I know how to control money. You can give someone, like I know plenty of multi-millionaires out there are completely self-sabotaging themselves, right? The money's just coming in easy, but they're killing themselves. So they're not actually enjoying the money. The money's enjoying them.
Do you think you have to go through that stage of first getting money and sabotaging?
Yeah. Like you don't have to, but I did.
You did.
You don't have to. Now I look back now, I can turn around and hindsight and say, "Oh, I wish this didn't happen. This didn't happen." If it didn't happen, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you today.
No. What's the biggest lesson you've ever learned the hard way? I know. Obviously, you had the incident and stuff, but
resentment is like, and there's an old saying, resentment's like me drinking poison and expecting you to die.
Yeah.
You know, there's ways of sorting things out.
Yeah.
You know, you can forgive, but you don't have to forget. You can have a change of heart. So in my thing, resentment was one of the biggest downfalls in my life. Like, my ego. You know, if my ego was dented, I had to be the Ryan. So Ryan had to come back and rectify it in his way.
Who's gave you the best bit of advice? So what's the best bit of advice you've ever received, and who from?
First thing comes to my head there.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things. It was my father.
Yeah.
He says, son, a dripping tap will fill an empty barrel.
I like that actually. Yeah.
So just take it slow.
Take it slow.
It'll come.
Yeah.
You know.
I like that. What advice would you give to a 20-year-old today? So if you take all your knowledge and you could pass it on to a 20-year-old in 2025 today, what would you give them?
Well, if I was to give it to myself, I'd just tell myself, go fuck yourself. You're not allowed here. Right. My advice to 20-year-olds is, don't drink, don't take drugs. Stay sober, don't take drugs, don't party. In your 20s and 30s. And you'll be a millionaire by the time you're 40.
Aye, so build.
Yeah. So the way I live my life now, if I lived it in my 20s and 30s, no drink, no drugs, no partying, you still enjoy your life. I have a great life.
Yeah.
You know, I got whacked up here today in a G-Wagon.
Yeah.
You know, so I have a great life. But drop a drink, drop the drugs. Drop a drink, drop the drugs, drop all the gambling, drop all the vices. Right? Wake up early and check in above. And people pray. Most people I ask, do you pray? No. But do you ever pray? Well, if something happens, like what, my granny's going to die, or I want something nice, is right. So yes, you do, right? What do you offer in return? Nothing. I says, why do you think you don't get anything? That's why you've stopped praying, because you don't get anything in return, because you don't offer anything. So I wake up every morning, I just say, God, whatever you need me to do, whatever you want me to do, I will do. Yeah. Right? That's all. Before I go to bed at night, it's some manners to get down your knees again and say thank you. Right? And I think of positive things that happen. I don't journal. People say I journal. No, I do journal. Yeah, my social media. Go on my social media. That's my journal every day. And count your macros. Learn your macros. Right? You don't have to eat bushes and stuff like that. You can eat whatever you want.
Yeah, fake legs. You won't get on there of those.
Get a workout in. Be at the gym, a walk, a swim, and read from positive books like your Bob Proctor. What do you call Tony Robbins, all those philosophers and all are about a long time. Yeah. It's whether you're ready to download that information, and that's advice I give to a 20-year-old.
Yeah. I think too, people. So you said about Bob Proctor and Tony Robbins and all them people, and I'll actually relate back to the bit of advice your dad gave you there. Two people can read the same thing or hear the same thing and take it two different ways. Like, I'll leaky tap, right? Someone can look at that and go, tap's broken, needs fixed. Or someone can go, consistency over time works. But yeah, great advice, Ryan.
The person thinks God's not ready.
Yeah. They're
just not ready. They're still downloading the devil. Yeah. That's it.
No, I tell you what, I've just a handful of questions for you here, so we'll just quick fire them too. Define success to you.
Success is peace.
Peace.
So people mistake boredom as peace. So if I was sitting in the house tonight and I was bored and I sitting around going to the pub, then I'm mistaking my peace for boredom, and then I'm back out in the mayhem. Yeah. And that's drinking, drugs, partying.
What do you do for downtime fun? You have all your rituals or your daily habits and routines, but what do you do now for downtime and fun?
That is my downtime.
Is it?
Is it? That's class.
You throw on Netflix or something at night?
No. It's still. If I don't. If it was female company, I would sit and watch something of horror. That's a downtime with me.
Yeah.
Like.
So you don't.
I have a girl in my life that I don't splash over social media. That would be my downtime whenever I can settle with her and chill out.
What does the future hold for you?
Me?
Yeah.
What do I I'm gonna be more success, more business opportunities. A dream home. I had one, but this one's gonna be just bigger. Just I'm gonna build a community of people, right, that are non-negotiable, and I'm gonna help them be the best version of themselves, and then I want them to offer themselves to the world.
Nice. And 2 more light-hearted questions for you, right? Because I know this podcast got very serious and deeper at times. You're obviously a big advocate of male mindset, right? And there's a guest actually a couple weeks ago asked me this in the podcast, and it's something I've seen online as well, but I never really thought about it until he asked me. Do you think if you were on a plane and the pilot got sick, that you could land it? If they come down and goes, can anybody land this plane? Would you put your hand up?
Oh,
100%. What gives you the belief you can land that plane?
God.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's him telling me that. I'm not. It's like when you see how quick I can ask questions.
Yeah.
Because I'm conscious.
Yeah.
I'm conscious. My subconscious mind doesn't get in the way. I'm conscious straight away.
Right. You're obviously confident in your own beliefs. Lift a lot of weights. Strong dude, right? Would you rather fight 1 bear-sized chicken or 1,000 chicken-sized bears? And what's your tactic?
I know you've.
Come on now.
I couldn't. Give me that again. I don't even understand it.
I know it's
say it a bit slower there.
It's a mouthful, right? Would you rather fight 1,000 bears the size of chickens, or 1 chicken the size of a bear?
A bear? 1 chicken the size of a bear.
And they're all coming at you like.
I'll go for the bear. The chicken the size of a bear.
The chicken the size of a bear?
Would you? Well, you're telling me a pile of one's coming at me.
Well, they're like wee micro pigs, probably.
It doesn't matter. There's still a pack of life in you. So you're ball behind you and everything all around you. That'd be. So I'd rather get it over and done with quick. And then he goes where I go. The rest of them, that'd be torture.
What's your tactic to take him down?
God.
So, Ryan, it's been amazing to talk to you. Like I said, very deep journey. I loved the fact that you came on and you felt comfortable enough to share that journey about Finbar and what happened back in those days. Your journey before it with family, relationships, journey from it with alcohol and business and mindset, and how you're trying to change your life around, change other people's lives, save other people's lives. I said the word try there again, so I'm sorry. Yeah. Before you cracked me. But yes, no, it's been great talking to you. Hope to do it again sometime. I wish you all the success in the future, and yeah, man, great chatting.
Well, the only thing I was finish off there with is, and be a respect of Finbar. I don't think I know his time he rests in peace, and the only way he's going to rest in peace if we rest in peace on earth right now, because I do feel we're gonna meet again. I got a download. I didn't see this the other day, and I was sitting in a restaurant. I think I was going to tell you this story, and I'm dedicating this podcast to him, and I'm going to Celtic Park on. The Throne Masters have been taken to Celtic Park before the Celtic and I'm not a Celtic fan, like before the Celtic and Hearts game. Like so much of this stuff's all falling in. Like you asked me in the podcast, and even the green and all here. We're going to Celtic Park and we're being introduced to the crowd at half time because we won 4 All-Irelands in a row there with Tyrone, and Donegal's come over as well. So we've been taken over there. But I was sitting in a restaurant the other day, and there was a man sitting just there, and he has 2 kids and his wife, and he was the spit of him. And how I would view him now in his 40s.
Yeah.
He was smiling, he's enjoying his time with his kids, his wife was happy. And I'm not saying that was him or that's not afterlife, but I was sitting there, and that it was tough at the start, but then it just made me happy. Now I never even told the person who was sitting beside me that this was going on. I didn't get awkward at the table or anything, but I would say I dedicate this podcast to Finbar, and I express my wholeheartedly apologies to all his family, his friends, and anybody in his deep circle, that I'm sorry, and may you rest in peace.
No, that's a nice way to end the podcast, and once again, thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing, Ryan.
Not a problem, good man.